Good evening, Mavs fans. Welcome to another episode of Pod Maverick After Dark. I am Kirk Henderson. You are joined, as always, by myself and my co-editor over at MavsMoneyball.com, Josh Bowe. Josh, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. We were just talking pre-show about being camera presentable, and I don't look at myself in the mirror a lot, but man, I'm looking a little werewolfy right now. I think I need to clean it up a bit, but I'm doing okay otherwise.
I'm absolutely wearing the same shirt. Look, man, we're deep in the throes of newborn chicanery.
You have a better excuse than me. I don't have a good excuse.
That I have clothes on is
right.
Really. But this isn't the only Mavs podcast. Hey-o, love you, Tim Cato. So, guys, the Dallas Mavericks just defeated the Los Angeles Lakers in recency bias and what feels like potentially like a game of the year for these Mavericks, 127-125. The Mavericks were missing. Who all were we missing? Kyrie Irving, Josh Green. Who else?
Derrick Jones Jr.
And Maxi Kleber. So that's 4 rotation guys.
And then they lost Seth, I think, sometime in the first half. Yeah.
That's right. And the Mavericks sort of came out and really played. First of all, I don't even know where to start because Luka played a great game. Dante Exum played a great game. They must have really figured out that all you needed to do with Grant Williams is turn him off and turn him back on again, like he's a shitty computer, because he looked like how he did the first 3 weeks of the season. I don't even know where to begin because, with the one exception, and I'm not going to kick him. We don't have to discuss him too much, but the Mavericks really only lost the Jaden Hardy minutes, which were pretty atrocious. Otherwise, I feel like they really beat the hell out of the Lakers. I was thoroughly impressed tonight.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because it ends up being a 2-point game, but I was watching it and I never felt like the Mavs were seriously in danger.
Not one. I mean, it was amazing. That is not a new, that's a new feeling compared to last year.
I mean, that's what happens when you make 21 of 43 three-pointers. It's hard to lose an NBA game when you make 20 or more three-pointers. That's for sure. But yeah, it was, yeah, for sure. Game of the season, second night of a back-to-back after they basically had to play Luka extensive minutes the night before to beat a really, bad Memphis team. But it wasn't, I'm not trying to say that like they shouldn't have played Luka a lot last night. They had to because they had no one else played. Grant and Tim Hardaway Jr. didn't play in addition to Kyrie and Josh. So, Luka was literally the only person that could really do anything with the ball. So he had to play and they won. And I think everyone respectfully would have been like, if Luka sat out and they have just decided, you know what, we're going to play the odds on this one. I think it would have been understandable. But obviously this is a new team and they have a new direction with Luka because I don't think he has purposely sit out a game with rest yet. I can't remember when he did that like multiple times before Christmas last season.
He's missed one game, I think, right?
And that was legitimate, right? Yeah, birth of his child. So this is absolutely, our staffer Matthew in Slack was like, please say this on the podcast. And this is absolutely a game and situation. If it was last season that they would have sat him out and they would have lost. And he played and he didn't look particularly clean for the entire 43 minutes, although he was still brilliant overall. You could definitely tell he was running out of gas a little bit in the fourth quarter, but they don't win without him and they really wanted this game. And you're going to look back in 2 or 3 months in the standings and you're going to be like, wow, how do the Mavericks have like a half game lead over this team? And it's like, hey, they won a game that they had no business winning. and those go a really long way for morale, and they go a really long way to kind of securing yourself in the standings, I think.
Yeah, we absolutely have to start with Luka. I'm glad you did, because
Yep.
this is a very stupid sentence. I've been thinking about it while you were talking. But if there were and sort of an archetypal legendary Luka game, like if you were to point to the full Luka Doncic experience, it would be tonight's game. It was a good example of that. And what I mean by that is not only do you get some really incredible shot making, like where he left Luka or where he left LeBron in the dust on that spin move to hit a corner three or to hit that wing three was incredible. Yeah. Some passing that kind of defies explanation.
I think it was his best passing game of the season.
Well, I mean, shout out to we're going to talk to Exum in a minute, but it really helps when your teammates connect on these unbelievable passes you serve up for them. But not only that, and I'm not kicking him here. This is why I'm describing the full-on Luka experience. You get absolutely incessant ref bitching, and for the most part being correct. Like when he got that bloody lip, that was when I kind of figured this game might be over, because it's just so bizarre to watch some of the calls. I know we are not refs, guys. I tend to be a little bit more than you, but like the reffing tonight, the free throws were in the Mavericks' favor, but some of the calls that were made to keep the Lakers close were fucking bullshit. No other way. Like that technical foul by Tim Hardaway was garbage. The Austin Reaves ran over Tim Hardaway in basically at the 3-point line to get a 2-point shot. It was clearly a charge. There were enough calls where I'm like, what are we doing here? And Luka was in everybody's face about it. He made the occasional absolutely amazing rebound, some really truly horrendous defense from time to time that made you just like cackle. There was an unbelievable LeBron fast break spin move. I want to say it was in the third quarter or maybe the beginning of the fourth, where he went through like 3 dudes. And as he's going up the court, Luka's kind of sauntering next to him, watching it happen. It was great. I loved it. I was yelling at the TV, and then when it comes down to crunch time, and I'm talking too much here, I'm sorry.
No, go.
When it comes down to crunch time, there was an orchestration of basketball that is just a reminder of why he is among the MVP candidates. He controlled that game. It never felt like anything the Lakers did mattered. And like, that's just the sort of Thanos sense of inevitability was just unbelievable. I loved it.
Yeah, the calm, cool, collected measure way he went about. I think he scored his last 2 buckets kind of in that floater range, and he just the Mavericks kind of spread the floor for him, gave him his isolation, and made it to where it would have been hard for the Lakers to double, because there wasn't really, if the Lakers wanted to double him, they would have to be taking a player kind of running across the court to double him. They didn't use a screen. So that made sure that the Lakers couldn't double him easily. And he just was like, okay, I'm kind of in the office, going to work. Like, just kind of did a couple, dribble moves, spin moves, and kind of just twisted and turned and scored a one-on-one bucket. I don't know if it would be in the paint, but those kind of little floaters he likes.
Those like
that
6
bounce
to
off
8
the rim
ones. Oh
yes,
my God.
Feels like he's automatic. It was crazy. Yeah. I really liked there's a lot to say about the Mavericks offensive. Imagine, how imaginative the Mavericks offense can be at times. There's definitely moments with Luka and without Luka where you're like, can they run a play, please? Like, what's going on? So I will give them credit that I thought at the end of the game, while it wasn't necessarily like a play, the way that they kind of spread the floor for Luka at the end of the game, making sure that there wasn't an easy way for the Lakers to double him by having a player standing right next to him at the wing. They kind of let him catch the ball near the top of the arc 3-point line. Then they kind of had basically the other 2 guys were kind of closer to the corners, or maybe I think Lively was short corner near the rim, 2 shooters in the corners. And then the other player, he wasn't like directly next to Luka on the wing, which is usually what happens. And that would make it easier for them to double him. So I thought that was pretty cool, the way they kind of spread the floor out for him to isolate at the end of the game. It wasn't necessarily like a creative play, but it was just like smart decision-making process from both Luka and the coaching staff to be like, let's not F around with him getting doubled and maybe there's a turnover, or you're you're putting the ball in the hands of someone that, maybe the Lakers want to have the ball in their hands. Let's let Luka keep it. Let's let him go to work one-on-one, because we don't, if he's not being guarded by LeBron or Anthony Davis, I don't think they were very much concerned with who was guarding him tonight. And the Lakers did not put LeBron on him at the end of the game. So they went one-on-one and they closed it out.
It was just such it was a fun game. Yeah, the Mavericks were in control, but the Lakers kept coming back in various ways. And, while we should we're going to talk about some of the other Mavericks that played truly like outlier games, it's not like the Lakers didn't have some bizarre performances from themselves. Taurean Prince hit 5 of 6 from 3. Austin Reaves hits 4 of 7. If they miss 1 or 2 of those, this whole game feels different from kind of the kick around. There was a lot of like Taurean Prince hitting big shots at a big moment, and I wonder what the heck he shoots from 3 this season. I can't find.
I'll give you Reeves. I know Reeves was struggling, but he's got enough. What do you call it? Credibility as a shooter to that's fine. But yeah, the Prince.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Shooting.
Well, Prince is shooting 45% from 3 on 4 attempts, so I'm just wrong.
So he's actually shooting. He did no. He's shooting. He's at 35.8.
What am I seeing here?
What are you looking at his regular field goal percentage?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm at NBA.com. I hate NBA stat sites. Like it's whoever puts their stuff together sucks.
Okay, yeah, he's at 35, which is still like pretty good. But yeah, he hit like a sidestep. Pump fake 3 late. And I was kind of like, whoa.
To be clear, Taurean Prince is a guy we absolutely wanted the Mavericks to sign. So
he'd be very he'd be very useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kirk, do you want to know what the Lakers shot at the rim?
What?
Right? They shot 28 of 45, and I'm trying to figure out which number is more incredulous.
Well, they missed. There was all sorts of
missed a lot.
The first quarter was really like 3 yards in a cloud of dust basketball, where neither team could get much. The Mavericks went ahead, and they finally started hitting a few shots late, but it was like 15-19 for like 3 minutes. And I remember Anthony Davis missing a couple of bunnies, and I really thought it was going to be a bad Anthony Davis game, but he ended up turning it around. There's some it's just a lot of the Mavericks got some luck at the rim, just period. Like you don't shoot that badly at the rim.
But 28 makes is still a lot.
28 makes is still a lot. And I felt like they missed a ton. So yeah. No, you're right.
How many points did they had? Lakers had 62 points in the paint, which is a lot. It was just funny. This was just a funny game because the Lakers were like, they're scoring layups at will. And every time I look at the scoreboard, Mavericks still have 5, 6 point. Like, it was just so funny that it was like the Lakers were engineering the best looking basketball, a layup, and they were getting them whenever they wanted. And it's like, sorry, that doesn't matter because Dante Exum decided to make every single,
Tim Hardaway going, that was what halftime was about from that, kind of felt like a bizarro TNT crew with, just different guys, Grant Williams, Vince Carter. Can't remember the white guy's name in the middle, and Jamal Crawford. And they were like just very calm and casual. And at one point, one of the 4 of them says, it's the simple fact is the 3 points is more than 2, and the Mavericks keep making these. And I was like,
that's what this game was.
That's kind of it.
They made 6 more 3-pointers in a game they won by 2. So there you go.
Well, so we're going to take a minute here, and I'm going to ask you guys to consider liking the stream, to consider subscribing to our show. We're sort of hitting a stride now, which is nice. More games means more content, which means Josh and I get more comfortable doing this, and we have more fun. So if you would subscribe to the Pod Maverick podcast, I would really appreciate that. When this video is done, if you will go ahead and leave a comment, any sort of comment will do. My favorite are the ones where people make fun of me. Getting off jokes is very important. And I'm sorry if you're hearing my dog drink water in the background. Beyond that, we are still working on our podcast kerfuffle. People have started to discover the alternate Apple feed, Josh. I will just say that dealing with Apple support has been among the worst things in my life because, like most things related to Apple, they work so well until they don't, and then no one knows what's going on. All right, so this was good. This was fun. Thank you for letting me shill for a moment. Who do we talk about, and what do we talk about next? Dante Exum or Tim Hardaway?
Let's go with Exum. Hardaway also was really good, but 7 3-pointers, 26 points. He's scored 20 points multiple times this season, which I have not looked this up, but I'm going to assume he's never scored 20 points multiple times in one NBA season. I know he's played, a handful, a pretty decent amount, but I'm just going to take a bet on that one that he's never done that one before.
He's such an interesting player because you get the sense of, and I felt this way at least when the Mavericks were trying to steal minutes with Luka on the bench. Everybody gets a little tighter. That's just natural, particularly against a big, good team like the Lakers. And I felt like his confidence was one of the things that kept the Mavericks in it to a degree. I think I don't want to say he only plays at one speed, but the speed that he plays at is so aggressive at the rim and at the paint where it feels so different from what Luka and Kyrie do. And I mentioned this last night as well. And I just don't know when teams are going to adjust to it because as I've been thinking about this, I got a message from one of my friends, Blake, who said, hey, it's the new Spencer Dinwiddie. And I didn't really agree with him, but I also think I misunderstood him until I was sort of talking right now where he's the third heat, the third heat in the GE convection oven where he brings a little bit of extra gas. Dog, stop barking.
Yeah.
Sorry. Huck keeps walking around barking.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we feel like, because he's been good now for how many games in a row? About 3 or 4 games. He's started the last 4 games now. We've talked about him pretty much at every podcast. He's been either the first thing we talk about or the second. And it's the same thing where, this one's different because he made a bunch of threes. But in terms of just a general overall impact on the game, we've been screaming this forever. The Mavericks need players that aren't 6'2" that can chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. Besides Luka, it's felt like Luka. They got Kyrie, and that's great. But Kyrie, unfortunately, is 6'2". You need some of your 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" wings. You need at least one, preferably 2, that can do stuff with the ball, that aren't just guys that are going to spot up in the corner or spot up in the wings and shoot. And if they don't have a shot, just kind of move the ball and hot potato it along. You need guys that with size that can attack closeouts, that can confidently make the right read when faced with help defense. Again, they don't need to be playmakers. They don't need to be guys averaging 6-5 assists a game. They don't need to be, your offensive hub. They don't need to be running a bunch of pick and rolls. They just need to be able to, when Luka is running his action and he gets met with pressure at the rim and he passes it to you, that you can attack that closeout and it's not just 3 or move it along the perimeter, because that's how an offense can get gummed up with Luka. Because if Luka's the only one that's doing the driving and kicking, eventually it's just going to ping pong ball right back to him. And now you got Luka with 2-3 seconds left on the shot clock, have to make, chicken salad out of chicken S. And that's not a recipe for success, no matter how good the aggregate of the Mavericks offense is, which is they're still really good. It's just, how do you take it to the next level? He's 6'5", long, athletic, and can dribble and pass. It's not more complicated than that.
Well, first your camera died, so
sorry.
Replug that back in. And first, I do feel the need to address Richard Case, who says 6'5" isn't size. LOL. In the big picture of what the NBA, what the Mavericks are dealing with, 6'5" is not size. You're correct, but 6'5" is still bigger than what they had been doing.
How many players 6'5" has been on the Mavericks roster that can dribble and pass like he has, besides Luka Doncic?
It's Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's incremental. So I understand why you're like, this just isn't.
He's not the final solution. He's not the final piece to the puzzle.
Right, because when you go look at an Aaron Gordon who's 6'8" and can do all this stuff and is bigger and stronger and better. But how many guys like that are available? This is why team building over a period of years is so important. In the Mavericks, for the better part of Luka Doncic, his tenure here, the Mavericks have been either attempting to assemble a super team or they are patching over their own mistakes. So we understand that, yes, they do need bigger. That we're not arguing whatsoever. We just are saying that what we're seeing when they get incrementally bigger somehow has great results. So I'm very pleased with this.
Yep.
Sorry. So go ahead, because we're back on camera.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, it's not like he is not the final. He's not the third starter that they're looking for next to Luka and Kyrie. But you can't fix everything in one summer. You can't fix everything in one trade deadline. Like you need to, like you said, incremental steps. You need stopgaps until you make the next move. I mean, they signed him for basically a minimum for 2 years, so he's doing, I mean, obviously he's doing way more than anybody's being paid for. But like they like last summer they did all, they drafted Lively, they drafted Prosper, they signed and traded for Grant Williams. Like all those things addressing the holes that they had from years of roster mismanagement. Like you can't be like, okay, and we're just going to throw in, a 6'7", near all-star that can kick and pass. Like you just can't you can't fit all that in one summer.
No, and
you take the baby steps to get better, and Exum is that baby step stopgap until they find a player has his skill set that's either a little bit bigger or is just a more overall talented.
I mean,
player.
They're playing the Wolves Thursday. We're going to come in here, and I'm just going to tell everybody what we're going to talk about when the Wolves probably just beat the Mavericks like they stole something because it's their 4th game in 7 nights. We're going to come in here and say, God, the Mavericks are small.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just that because it's true.
Yeah,
the Mavericks are small.
And the Wolves, the Mavericks are small. Plus, the Wolves make normal sized teams look small. So,
so I want to talk about next. I think we need to talk
Timmy?
about the bravery of one Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean,
that's a good word.
It's a little tongue in cheek, but I feel like it's true because, I mean, he's missed the past 2 games with back issues, right?
Yep, back spasms, and enlighten us because you know a thing or two about.
Oh hell! I mean, we're like if you're above the age of 25 and taller than 6 foot, you've probably had some back issues in your life because none of us that grew up had yoga or any of this shit, and none of our running forms were corrected, and so everybody run. Everybody has back problems, particularly if you sit in an office chair, and so back spasms are not uncommon. Shit hurts, and so for Tim to just go out there and to repeatedly take body blows and land on the small of his back was really something. I mean, we make a lot of fun of Timmy because when he's bad, he makes you want to shoot him directly into the sun. But then there's tonight, and he's just like, fuck it. I'm Tim Hardaway. I'm going to shoot the ball. I've decided, by the way, just while this is on my mind, when Timmy goes hero mode? Timmy goes hero mode when he gets a rebound. That's the only time he goes here because he's like, ooh, he's like one of my, he's like my son in YMCA basketball where he's like, oh, I have the ball. It's my turn to shoot now. That's basically the gist. But I love Timmy tonight. I would say that he's up there with, I really don't know who I would pick between him and Grant Williams and Exum in terms of like co-players of the game, but just a remarkable effort, really.
Yeah. Shooting was great. The charges, like you said, he took I think the first one he took, he was kind of on the floor for a little bit.
For like 4 seconds.
I was kind of worried. I was like, because those spasms can flare right back up, and I was like, is he done? Like he might be done for the night if those spasms don't, kick into high gear. So you're right. I mean, he
had been on the floor like a second too. It was like he got on the floor and then he got ran over.
Yeah. And I mean, bless Timmy, he still cannot play a lick of defense. But if he can't, hey, take charges. Like I feel like he's almost made peace with I am not a guy that can contribute to team defense in a traditional sense. So I am just going to let guys run over me, and hopefully that I can get some calls, and that'll count as my defensive presence. And honestly, considering how Luffy can be on the defensive end, you'll take it. You'll take it every time you can get it.
I never feel like there's a lack of effort. There's just a lack of knowing what the hell to do.
Yeah. So for sure, but yeah, 32 points. Almost. I didn't realize Luka had 33. Didn't realize he was so close to being the leading scorer in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he hit did he hit a 3 in the second half? I feel like all 5 of his threes were in the first half. Which is when the Mavericks were really cruising and they had that 15 or so point lead. So
he got to the line 8 times, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's a lot for him.
He hit one. He hit a driving floating 2 past Jackson Hayes off the glass that had me make a noise where it's like,
where he got the and one against Reaves,
Yes.
I think, or something. Or no, against Hayes. Yeah.
It was Hayes who had a terrible game. And it was truly remarkable. I mean, Tim, his 2-point percentage has steadily drowned since he's gotten older. And so to watch some of the rim attacks that he made tonight was amazing. I was very delighted.
Steadily drowned since Carlisle left, by the way.
Yes.
Those coincide.
Sure.
Because Carlisle had him, he was only shooting shots that he should be shooting. I think when Kidd kind of gave him a little bit more freedom, he definitely took some worse 2-pointers. But yeah, great game for him. And it's one of those games where it's like, when we talk about trading him, and not necessarily, I don't think I'm against if the Mavericks can find a good deal to trade him. But whenever I say things like just be hesitant, like be careful what you wish for, like he is still a crucial part of making this engine go. This is the kind of game I'm talking about. Like they don't win this game without him. And can you imagine if they had him, if they had DeAndre Ayton for this game and without Tim Hardaway Jr., like they probably lose. So it sounds nice on paper to trade him for certain guys, and I get it. But if they do decide to move on from him, I think that's why. I mean, it's twofold. I'm sure they haven't traded him because maybe the teams don't want him, but I almost have to wonder if the reason why it's taken, they haven't moved him yet is because they feel that pressure that like he is not a trivial piece to move off the board. He's very important for what they want to do. It's very important to have a high volume 3-point shooter next to Luka. And I almost wonder if that's added to the hesitancy of trading him, because like it or not, he is a very, very, very crucial part of
because Curry, as good as Curry is, Curry's smaller, and Tim has the sort of athleticism to take really bad shots that look like they're good shots, where it'll be, 8 seconds left in the shot clock. Luka won't be able to get past somebody, and he'll just pass to Tim, who is like, oh, okay, I'll shoot this.
Yeah, and his catch and fire, his quick release. Yeah, you're totally right. He is a better. I don't know.
Like that's a big element, because if you lose that element, possessions. Like friend of me of the pod, Matt Moore, like basically described he wrote out like 3 or 4 Mavs offensive possessions in a row that were awful. And then he finished it with the Mavs are 4th in the league in offense. And it's because of that, partially because of the Timmy of it all, like the willingness to take the bad shot and then make it rather than drive and throw up a nasty brick with like 4 seconds left. It's taking a kind of ill-advised shot with 6 seconds left. And the Mavericks just do a lot with that over that time. And I'm really glad it works out. God, we're going long, but that's great. So I think we have to pivot to the realistic man of the match for the Mavericks and Dante Exum. And why don't you go with him? Because you basically said what he needed to do last night, and then he did it.
I know, that's so funny. So we talked about last night how it was like, when are teams going to stop guarding him and make him shoot 3-pointers? And it happened tonight. And the Lakers made him shoot 9 3-pointers, and he made 7 of them, and the Mavericks win. So I don't know if you can count on him making 7 3-pointers consistently going forward.
Well, he hit 8 all year, so no, you can't.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's the craziest stat I've heard in a while. That's
he's
so
not
funny.
gotten the minutes. Like this is
I know
issue too, where it's like who he's playing with. Like just the simple catch and shoot. It's another example of if you are a mediocre wing and we don't know if you can shoot, demand to play with Luka, because you're going to get shots that you get in an open gym.
Right. You're going to get practice quality jump shots. And that's what it was for Exum. I mean, they really played off him. And what was nice was he was in the corner a lot. I mean, I don't know how many threes he made. Let me check how many corner threes he made, because I feel like he made a decent amount of corner threes. He only made 2. He made 5 above the break. So never mind. But hey, 2 corner threes is nice.
They were practice shots, because he did one, and he did 2 that I remember, where he faked driving. He basically took a jab step on no one, and then took the 3.
Yeah,
and like you just got to take those shots. Like it becomes a confidence issue. I really truly believe that NBA players are among, and I was telling this to the chat before you joined, NBA players, when you watch them practice in an open gym, it is like watching a different set of a different species. There's just no other way around it. Like Eric Dampierre once beat Dirk in a shooting contest. Okay. Like that kind of wild stuff where I remember when I absolutely hated Dorian Finney-Smith. We're talking like 2018 range. At Summer League, I watched him in practice just drill 8 threes in a row from a corner when I swear he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So it's like you get some confidence in your game, and it just changes everything. Derrick Jones Jr. is a great example. Dante Exum is a great example. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, not really much else to say because he only took one other shot besides his 9 3-pointers. It was it was a layup he made. But yeah, he only took one shot that wasn't a 3. It was a layup. 8 of 10 from the floor overall, 7 of 9 from 3. What I liked was, defensively he was hit or miss a little bit. It's tough with the Lakers' size. Like he's not going to stop LeBron. And he can't guard Anthony Davis. And then Rui Hachimura is another tough guard, although
really tough guard.
Rui didn't really do much. But yeah, again, the Lakers just have a lot of big scoring forwards, and that can be a little tough for him. But still, like 3 assists, 1 turnover, steal, block, like just padding the stat sheet a little bit in ways that some of these other players just can't. And he didn't have to pass a lot tonight because, again, when he got the ball, he was mostly spot up. So we'll see what that looks like going forward. I wonder how teams are going to keep guarding him because, again, part of the reason he's been so successful is he's been manipulating that open space that Luka gives him. So the next step is going to be, okay, you're not going to hit 7 3-pointers every night. Can he, instead of taking a 3, drive into that space and create something at the rim for his teammates, create a 3-pointer for his teammates, or create, a more high percentage 2-point shot for himself? Because clearly he's not going to be taking 9 threes every game, but also teams are going to keep leaving him open and daring him to shoot. So I think he's going to have to find a balance between, okay, I've got the 3, I'm going to keep hitting it, or, I don't know if I've got the three ball tonight. I need to find a way to kind of use this open space as a runway to get downhill and make some things happen.
But that's one of the elements that I really like about him
that
he's doing that other guys that have played with the Mavericks haven't, is if you're kind of a Luka critic, you say their offense is way too many guys standing there while Luka does his thing. One of the things I've liked about Exum is his willingness to cut at the right time, because you've got to trust that the point guard will find you. And that's where, he had that, 18 assist game against the Thunder that they lost, the 17 assists tonight. He's finding guys who are open. This offense can be more if the players are smart enough to know when they're supposed to go and when they're supposed to stay still. It's just nice. Like he's got a knack for things that, the Mavericks haven't had with some of the players that they've had over the years, either due to skill set or IQ, basketball IQ, I mean. And so it's been pleasing. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, for sure. Do we want to talk? I know we're going long, but we got to probably hit up Grant Williams.
Oh yeah. Good. Grant Williams. Welcome back. I think there's something to our theory that he was tired. I really do. He looked fresh.
He did look fresh. I mean, that was kind of the dirty secret coming into this season that I don't think we talked about enough. I think we mentioned it a couple times. I think I mentioned it in one of my preseason posts, or even a post maybe when they acquired him. But he had started 50 something games in his 4 years in the NBA out of 250 games. He's been a bench player. He never averaged more than 26 minutes a game, which was last season. He just jumped from, not only are you playing against starters when you're used to playing against mostly backups for a lot of your minutes, but we're also going to jump your minutes up to a career high. So not only are your minutes at a career high, but they're also a higher leverage type of minute, because instead of coming off the bench and guarding a backup 4, hey, you need to guard Anthony Davis, you need to guard Nikola Jokic, you need to guard LeBron, you need to guard I don't know whatever other scoring forwards they've played against this year, but you know what I mean. It's not just the minutes, it's the role, and I really do believe there's a difference between starting games and coming off the bench in terms of who you're playing against. So it felt kind of natural. I mean, like, it's like, I'm not trying to make excuses for him or anything like that, but it just like, it didn't surprise me that he maybe ran out of steam a little bit, and yeah, came back tonight and looked absolutely great.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched about that. Something happened in our search headlines. So I'm finishing editing something over at mavsmoneyball.com. Do you have kind of any closing thoughts? Because I have one thing I want to show everyone, but beyond that, I think I might be done.
What else do I want to talk about? I thought we talked about Luka. I mean, really, it was those three guys. Lively was good. I need to mention Lively.
Lively's unbelievable
3 blocks,
shooting.
2 steals. He was 4 of 7, so I think his field goal percentage actually went down. But he held his own against Anthony Davis for the most part. I mean, man, Davis had 37 points on 21 shots. I mean, toward the end of the game, especially the second half, I mean, Davis was kind of scoring over and through him with ease, like in the third and fourth quarters. But, but still, when he's like I said, that kind of indispensable. Like when he's off the floor, you felt it. Like in that third quarter, they closed the third with Luka off the floor and with Lively off the floor, and the Lakers took their first, real lead going into the fourth. And you were just kind of like, okay, Lively and Luka have to play the whole fourth. And I think that's where we're at with Lively. Even when a player like Davis is getting the best of him, you just need him for that length, the 4 offensive rebounds. He's just able to get offensive rebounds that other players can't because of his size and his length. And also, like, he's finishing lobs. Like, I respect a lot of Dwight Powell, and I've talked for years about how great of a rim runner and finisher he is in the pick and roll, and how he developed that skill irregardless of Luka's arrival. Like, he was elite at it, the years before Luka, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. But man, there is just something to having a player figuring that part of it out, the skill part of it, while also being 7'1" with a 7'8" wingspan and like a 40-inch vertical or whatever it is. Like, he caught a lob from Luka that, like, if it was to Dwight, it's a turnover. Or Luka doesn't even attempt to throw it because he knows, Dwight can't reach it. Like, it feels like he's opening up some more passing opportunities because Luka and some of these other guards are just like, oh, well, we can just throw it up even higher and he can go get it. Even if this defender is all over me, it's okay. I'll just lob it, however many feet in the air, and Lively's going to catch it. I feel like the players on the guards on this team are kind of getting that he's opening some things up that maybe weren't there before because he just has a physicality that can get the ball that other bigs on this team don't possess.
That's right. Okay, so I'm going to leave you on this last thing. This is, for it being a audio and visual medium. For people that are listening, I'll describe it once I show it. But there's a photo that friend of the program, Dalton Trigg, posted that is simply outstanding. Can you see this, Josh?
Yes, I can. There you go.
It's a photo had to have been pulled from the AP wire, and it's Luka Doncic shooting on the left side of the page and Christian Wood standing in the background looking sad as shit. I don't want to kick Christian Wood when I'm down. It's not his fault that his agent is a big dork. But he got a DMP tonight. LOL. Just have to do that. All right. So here's the deal. I have a second live show that's going to start here in about 5 or 6 minutes. Josh and I are going to close out. I'm going to post this to our podcast feed. And then I want you guys to join that other live show. If you guys have never participated in the other live show, it's one where you can join and give me your takes. Like we have Joe in the chat saying Josh absolutely kills me and his credibility with his defense of Dwight Powell. If you want to come rip Dwight Powell, please come do that. If you want to talk about Jaden Hardy and his inability to be good at basketball, we can talk about that. If you want to talk about all the amazing things Josh and I just rehashed and go over it again, I want to do that as well. I really enjoy talking to you guys in the show. It's a little bit early, so maybe we can hang out for an hour. Thanks so much for hanging out tonight. This has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. We will Josh will be back on Thursday. I am single parenting for the next 2 days, and we're just gonna not even try. I'm not. My wife was not home, and I will be with the 5-week-old and my other son. So I'm not gonna try this. We're just gonna let Josh and someone from the staff cook. So thanks so much for hanging out. We will be back a little later in the week. Everybody, we appreciate your support. If you could go like and leave a comment when this thing is done, I would appreciate it. And we will talk soon. Go Mavs.